the leading oil marketing company in Ghana.
The various shipping lines
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GOIL Company Limited, Ghana Revenue Authority, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services, the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, at the ports. Now, our media partner is the Business and Financial Times, and so if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that transpired here on the show. As usual, we're going to be getting interactive with you, and the number to send your messages ahead of the show is 0559-019-177. 0559-019-177. Indeed, we shall also activate the phone lines at the appropriate time, so you can call in and then contribute to the discussion. Remember, the abridged version of Iron Port is also always aired on Ghana Television every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. We are streaming live on our social media handles. At Facebook, you can watch us at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA Ghana, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA Ghana, and at YouTube. On YouTube, you can watch us at Iron Port Ghana, Iron Port Ghana. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are back shortly.
GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
All right, you're welcome back. And so it's time for us to take a look at some happenings in the port and maritime industry in the course of the week. And during the week, the Ghana Shippers Authority met some of the shipping lines for the 2020-2021 cocoa freight negotiations. Plus, the fact that GOIL Company Limited also opened one of its branches at the Circle Overhead in the course of the week. Let's take a look at these stories.
The various shipping lines that ferry cocoa from Ghana to the various international destinations have negotiated with the Ghana Shippers Authority and the Cocoa Marketing Company freight rates for the 2021-2022 season. The lines agreed on a 5% increment across board on the previous freight rate, with the bunker adjustment factor increased by 1%. This means freight rate to the United Kingdom, for example, is now £31.5 from the previous rate of £30. This conclusion was arrived at during the 2021-2022 cocoa freight negotiation conference held in Accra. Represented by his deputy, the Minister of Transport, Kweku Foresiama, said infrastructural investments made in both the ports of Takoradi and Tema would give the shipment of cocoa in Ghana a significant boost.
With the Takoradi port preeminent position as the leading port for the shipment of Ghana's cocoa, the development and operations of on-dock multi-purpose terminal to enable the port accommodate bigger vessels is ongoing. Just like Tema Port, the multi-purpose terminal, which is expected to be inaugurated by the end of this year, will be equipped with modern gantry cranes and terminal operating systems to improve turnaround time.
The managing director of the cocoa marketing company, Vincent Otre Akumia, revealed that Ghana recorded the highest production levels ever since the introduction of cocoa in the 2020-2021 year, despite the year being a very challenging one. He, however, called on shipping lines to increase their use of the Takoradi port.
Only 4 containerized shipping lines called the Takoradi port, although Takoradi port handles the highest volumes of our shipments. That is 47% of our total shipments was handled by Takoradi, with Tema and Kumasi accounting for 40 and 13% respectively.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonetta Bismarck, praised shipping lines for adopting improved digital means of transaction in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, she urged the lines to institute standard operating procedures for their various services to improve ease of doing business at the ports of Ghana.
Some of the shipping agents had a plethora of inexplicable charges when also engaged in blacklisting clearing agents for outstanding debts on previous transactions to the detriment of innocent consignees, thereby resulting in delays and associated colossal demurrage payments. These issues have impacted on the rising cost of doing business in Ghana's ports.
The leading oil marketing company in Ghana, GOIL, has affirmed its determination to make its quality fuels and services accessible to all Ghanaians. To this end, GOIL has opened its 411th service station at the Circle overhead to provide quality products to motorists. The group CEO and MD of GOIL, Kwame Osei-Prempeh, said more service stations will be opened before the end of the year 2021.
We've decided that we go to every nook and cranny of this country, because if somebody buys our Ron 95 at Tema and he's driving to Circle and he doesn't get any GOIL filling station, he may be forced to go and buy from Yanum the non-quality one.
According to him, GOIL Super XP Ron 95 has become popular to consumers because it is sold at the same price as other fuels and also for its quality, properties and attributes.
GOIL, our basic, instead of the 91, we sell Ron 95 and we sell it like the price of Ron 91. What others sell at higher price, we sell at lower price.
He entreated motorists to continue to patronize GOIL products because they are going to be served the right quantity. The head of fuels marketing at GOIL, Augustine Barton, said GOIL fuels are for all ranges of vehicles.
So regardless of the type, whether it's a taxi or private, please come and patronize. Then it will protect your engine for you, to last long for you. Whether it's taxi, whether it's for you or for somebody, please try and maintain the engine. If you maintain the engine, then that you have work to do continuously.
All right, so you're welcome back. And it's time for us to zoom into the discussion proper tonight. And last week, we took a look at how to build a robust maritime industry for effective continental trade. And one thing that came into play was Afcfta. Now, our panelists last week were unanimous in their conviction that we cannot have a smooth takeoff or a smooth Afcfta without the requisite transport infrastructure and without the requisite port infrastructure. Talk about rail, and all that. And so today we are taking a look at the state of Afcfta since trading began. from the 1st of January 2021. That was when Afcfta actually commenced. And so we're taking a look at how far we've come, some 9 months down the line since Afcfta began. We have in the studios tonight Mr. Louis Yao-Aful, who is a trade practitioner, an Afcfta expert and APN Network. Also to join us will be Mr. Emmanuel Donikwame, who is the Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana. In fact, he will be joining us via Zoom. He was supposed to be in the studios with us. He said, due to some unforeseen circumstances, he cannot make it, and so would be available to speak to us and contribute to the discussion via Zoom. And so pretty shortly, we shall be introducing him to you. But let me welcome Mr. Yao-Aful to the studios. Hello, good evening, Mr. Aful, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening to your viewers.
Great. Tell us about APN Network. What is APN Network?
Well, APN Network is the first and largest private-led or owned international membership-based think tank focused on sensitization, advocacy, research, and implementation of Afcfta. I mean, by us, we were the first to start in terms of sensitization issues about Afcfta here and in Africa, and our membership base is still opened. Professionals who are drawn from various expertise who want to contribute to the implementation of Afcfta in Ghana, to businessmen and outside Ghana. So that is the focus. And so it has the women wing. It also have the investment side.
Right. So, and how long have you been in operation?
APN had a second year in September. But I think our activities have been so consistent that, in fact, in the words of the Secretary General, he commended the work that we've done. At least out of APN, a lot of networks and a lot of organizations at least had a kind of introduction or a kind of capacity building on what Afcfta is all about.
Right.
And we know that we have a lot to do. And so that is what we're focused on.
Okay, so I'll come to you pretty shortly, but let me go on to the phone lines and introduce Mr. Emmanuel Donikwame. I told you he was going to join us, via the lines, and so I've been told by my producer that he's joined us. Good evening, Mr. Donikwame.
Good evening.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Great, yes, you are clear now. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're happy to have you. I hope you are doing well.
I'm doing great, yeah.
Yes. What you think the current state of Afcfta is?
Well, let me say good evening also to Donny for joining us. Well, if you say the state of Afcfta currently, then you are looking at the trading, how far trading has gone.
Absolutely.
With respect to people taking opportunities under Afcfta.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would have said that Afcfta even started when the 22nd country ratified.
Yeah.
So certain accepting protocols were in force. But the trading, which has to do with the liberalization of tariffs, actually currently, I would say that the secretariat itself will not have full data yet on so far how many companies or how many member states companies have really performed. But let me start by saying that I can say in Ghana, we still have only two companies that have been able to ship successfully under Afcfta, which is, it's not too encouraging because down the line, I should think that we should have had more than about 10.
Yes, because if 9 months down the line, if we have just two companies being successfully able to trade under Afcfta or ship outside under Afcta, and that's not encouraging at all.
And that is even a situation where Ghana is one of the leading performance countries when it comes to Afcfta. So I look at the rest of some of the other African countries because Ghana itself is offering certain support, capacity building to some of the African countries to strategize. So I think that in terms of shipment, that side, I think that we have a lot to do. Then again, if you look at the single window side, every country's custom cooperation or management is supposed to have by this time worked on its single windows, whether it's through in terms of technology, what have you, adjust it so that you can have harmonized codes for Afcfta. So Ghana realized that our incomes, it has ICOMS, has codes, adjusted codes for Afcfta products because it's key in being able to identify what are Afcfta products and what are not Afcfta products. That's, I think, I know for some countries who are working hard to have that done. Then I think that in terms of how the state of Afcfta trading, if you move away from in terms of the goods itself and in terms of single windows, the other area that I think that currently we can also talk about is in terms of sensitization and capacity building.
Right.
I think that preparedness, I think you could say that Ghana, or you could say that, let me use Ghana, I think it's about, let me say 50%. 50% because the awareness is still ongoing and there's a lot that needs to be done. Other countries too have done a lot of sensitization. So in terms of sensitization advocacy, you could say that it's about, let's say, 50% also. Then the state of after trading, the countries themselves that are supposed to trade, if you look at it in terms of the league, you realize that currently you still have about 38 countries that are fully trading. In other words, they have fully ratified and are full party states. Right. So we still have one country that has not yet signed, like Eritrea, and there's still other countries who are in the middle. When I say the middle, they have signed, they have ratified, but they've not submitted their letters of ratification, so they are not full members yet.
Right.
So it means that as trading is happening, they cannot enjoy the benefits. Those are countries, if you take 54 minus 38, the rest are those I think the Secretariat needs to work on hard to get them to be fully part so that they can trade. Because the difficulty is that if country A, like Ghana, is a full party state, and country B is not a full party, it will be very difficult for country B to enjoy the tariff liberalization benefits, except it becomes a full party state. That is what it looks like.
Right. I'll come back to you and find out from you why you think that this is the state of affairs as far as after trading is concerned. You just mentioned the fact that only 2 companies, 9 months down the line, have been able to successfully ship through Afcfta. But let me go onto the lines and speak to Mr. Donikwame. Has the ICC, your organization, the International Chamber of Commerce, done an assessment of the state of Afcfta since trading began on the 1st of January 2021?
We currently working on that research, but from data that's available, we believe Afcfta represents a decisive step towards the continent's long-held aspiration of regional integration. And so far, at least, we've seen countries have ratified. Some trading has started. But we all know that the pandemic has made it very difficult for the free movement of both goods, people, and services. Most of our borders are closed. Just last week, we had the demonstrations at our border post for the opening of our borders. So definitely, its impact on Afcfta, it's been felt on the continent. This week, I know the Secretariat, the Commission, that commenced work on the protocol on investment, and I think that's very key. As you mentioned, there are tariff barriers that can be dealt with easily, but the main concern is non-tariff barriers, investment in transport, investment in the energy sector. And we want to encourage more intra-Africa investment so that disputes that we see with cross-border investments, the key one being the building of the dam in Ethiopia. If African countries can come together and then we pool all our resources and then we invest in such infrastructure together so that the benefits is felt on the continent. Countries don't see themselves as individual states that need to benefit at the expense of others. We have a lot of resources on the continent. We have uranium in countries like Niger. So if we have to invest in nuclear facilities to provide electricity, that's there. With the DRC, there's a Congo River, we can develop a hydroelectric dam. With transport, yes, in the case of Ghana, at least, we've been able to invest in the port of Tema and Takoradi. We have Tema 3. The next has to do with road. As a country, we've also encouraged FDIs in the area of the assembling of vehicles, and then we've started with the railway networks. These are the kind of investments that we need to attract to be able to see more intra-African trade. The non-tariff barriers are a big hurdle, the lack of infrastructure.
All right, so you mentioned lack of infrastructure and all that, and myself and Mr. Aful in the studios have been also talking about the abysmal performance in terms of trading, given the fact that we understand that it's only 2 companies that have been able to successfully ship under Afcfta. What are some of the challenges you think that has, necessitated this occurrence?
I believe these companies were already trading. We had the ETLS. There are a lot of companies who are already trading within the sub-region and exporting, mostly by road, by sea, by air. After it's more or less a scale-up of the work of ECOWAS, and it's supposed to eliminate tariffs by 90%. So you wouldn't see any big difference. You just want to encourage more exports. Currently, I think intra-African trade is around 17%. And we need to monitor that figure and then step up our production capabilities on the continent so that at least the main thing is how do you drive demand? Because on the same shelf in any shop in Africa, people will still trade or import from other parts of the world. So how do you replace a product made from any part of the world with a product made in Ghana? You can only do that when the 2 parties are talking. And then people are assured not just of price as a result of duty elimination, but also the quality. And I know there's a lot of work being done on harmonization of standards to ensure that the quality of our goods do meet the standards that can compete with any other product from any other part of the world. So you need that kind of communication between retailers and distributors within the continent. And you can only do that when they can move, when they can meet or they can communicate. And this can be done through interactions, through trade fair, or through the ICC network, organizations such as business associations. Unfortunately, as a result of COVID, movement of people is a bit restricted, and its impact on Afcfta is being felt now. Yeah.
Right. Let me come to Mr. Aful in the studios and find out from you. Mr. Donikwami just mentioned the element of COVID, which naturally would affect, trading. But what are some of the issues you think has impacted, the smooth takeoff of Afcfta?
I think that we need to understand, let's clarify a few things. We have difference between the challenges of the operationalization of Afcfta.
Yeah.
Which don't need to talk about some of them.
Yeah.
And then we have the trading itself, getting companies to export.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the main issue.
Okay.
Operationalization has several issues.
Okay.
That one,
which are
some of the fact that, as I said, some countries are still yet to become full state.
To ratify.
Other countries are still yet to strategize. We have what we call the BIAT, boosting intra-African trade. The BIAT is like the map. It's like the blueprint by which every country is supposed to strategize under Afcfta. It's 7 pillars. And Ghana was one of the first to adopt its own. It's standard among all the countries, our member states. You have trade finance, which you have to do. How are you going to use finance to support Afcfta? Because, mind you, I keep on saying that the way we did our things is the same. Afcfta is not the panacea for the existing economic issues. That is what countries should know. So we shouldn't put so much pressure on the demand for Afcfta. What is Afcfta going to do? Because Afcfta is only bringing what we call 90% of products, not tariff, 90% of products to be liberalized over zero tariff over a period of years. So it is an opportunity so that you realize that if you take trade finance, if you take trade-related infrastructure, which Donnie talked about, the trade-related infrastructure, every country or a member state should do everything possible to finance its infrastructure, be it maritime, be it road, be it aviation, whichever way, be it energy. That, if you are to measure before Afcfta came, what was the position of some of these member states? Were they already in difficulty? So now that Afcfta has come, it's an opportunity. So you cannot say that because Afcfta came and trading started in January 2021, you were having certain economic issues. So because of that, due to Afcfta, you had to just be solved overnight. No. Then you look at pillars like market segmentation. How have people really identified the market? Because that is the key issue. If you have to identify a product, then identify its market and look at the comparative advantage you have. Currently, that is what a lot of countries need to do. Go and let the people identify which product they can export. Because if you don't know what you export to your next market, you cannot even start at all.
So we're talking about competitive advantage.
Comparative advantage. For instance, if you were, before Afcfta came, you were not having a market outside Africa. And maybe now you have the opportunity, let's say, in your neighboring country, Nigeria, you want to, let's say, export uniforms, and you've gotten the market there. You are targeting a market size of about 300 million plus for school uniform. Prior to that, you were not having that access, even though you were under ETLS. But with Afcfta, it's a different ballgame altogether. So the issue has to do with the fact that there should be a lot of sensitization on which products and which sectors, on which areas companies should really focus on to identify. Currently, the Ministry of Trade is doing what I call it a kind of after scouting companies. You know, they are trying to put together, encourage companies to really export under Afcfta. That is very important because that is what it is. Because before then, like Donnie was saying, people are doing business already. But what kind of market? As I sit here, I know that if you take Seychelles, for example, they don't produce a lot of things. They import. So we should be able to identify certain, maybe butter. They import a lot of butter from Brazil. So if you are here and you feel that, look, let me take the opportunity and Afcfta and produce and export to Seychelles. That is what Afcfta is looking for. And again, it's not only the goods. We are looking at services. Services is key because the World Bank was projecting that about 50% of GDP contribution are going to come from the service sector. And under Afcfta, we have trading services. And the trading services, there are about 12 sectors, or we call them priority sectors, that are supposed to be tapped. Currently, the member states have negotiated for 5. Communications, professional services, or professional bodies, financial institutions, tourism, and transportation. Now, the difference between that of the goods, the trading goods, and the trading services, because the services industry is not going to be as opened, let me use that word, like the trading goods, it's going to be what we call the national interest and offer. In other words, Ghana and maybe Togo can come together and say, okay, I want to open up in the area of my tourism, while you also open up in the area of your professional services. So it will be country-based offer and national interest. So if you look at generally, trading services and trading goods, which is among the 3 first protocols that have been is running together, as we call our state after trading now, trading goods, trading services, and then dispute settlement. These are the ones working. If you look at it currently, it means that there's apart from the COVID, there's a lot of sensitization, which people should know. Existing companies should know, how do I qualify to export and after, and then what are the materials or the procedures? Some have been hearing.
You think this sensitization and education has not gone down enough?
It is going, but I don't think it's still. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done because, as I'm saying, as you and I even sitting here, most, for example, if you take even the media landscape, if you take the banking industry, most of professional services or financial institutions think that Afcfta is isolated from them, but they've forgotten they're even part of the stream. So imagine trade finance, as I mentioned to you, which is a pillar or a BIAT. The people who are involved do not know. Most of them do not know that they are part of the agreement. And they rather look at it from afar, like, oh, we are just supposed to support Afcfta. No, financial institutions are not supposed to support. They are part of the agreement. They have to take opportunity and see how they can expand. So that is why I say that sensitization.
And they can come in by financing people who are willing to export.
Yes, for example, like I said, every country is supposed to strategy. Ghana is using Ghana as a bank. If you go to the regional scale, the heads of states taxed Afcfta Bank to support the financing of Afcfta at the regional level. And if you look at ADB, African Development Bank, is also looking at the agribusiness and other developmental infrastructure. So it means, therefore, that we need more regional banks and national banks that will focus on the various priority sectors under Afcfta. For example, you need an investment bank focus on the investment that Johnny was talking about, even that is not fully ready yet. You need to look at, in terms of trade-related infrastructure, a bank that will finance infrastructure. You need to look at trade-related goods, like a bank that will finance purely export and import. So you cannot put all the financing basket into one bank. That is where most of the countries are having their struggle.
Right.
So we need to look at trade finance carefully so that it's not only going to be because maybe, for example, let's take Ghana, like I was saying, Ghana Exim Bank. Last year, they rolled out certain areas where there will be their priority areas of financing. They need to expand it this year. The same way, Ghana Export Promotion also decided to expand through their what we call the NED.
Yeah, National Export Strategy.
They decided to expand certain exportable crops or products. That is the way you identify the sectors and look at the gaps and also expand on your financial institutions. Equip them. Afcfta, but what they would like to be doing in the coming years is that they will equip existing financial institutions in member states. So, for example, if they come to Ghana, which are some of the financial institutions we can support them so that they can target the associations Donnie was looking at. So maybe if about 10 financial institutions have been identified in Ghana, then their mandate is to how they are going to support the exportable companies. Remember, after it's focused more on export. Production. So it is an industrialization agenda. So everything that must be done to bring up the product, market, and then destination, consumption. This is what must be done. Let us not forget, we're also looking at creative industry. The state of trade, as we are speaking, creative industry is one of the most untapped areas that you can talk about on the African continent. The Afcfta Bank earmarked about $500 million. $500 million to support creative industry. But how many companies are even ready under the creative industry? So you realize that even that side we are not ready. Then if you talk about tourism, the pandemic hit it so hard. What is the way forward? If you talk about intellectual property rights, it's another protocol that has not been done, but it is another area that needs to be looked at carefully. Why? Because if you are looking at competition, investment, intellectual property, somebody can come out with, like during the pandemic, somebody can come out with a new product. How would that person be assisted or helped after the standardization certification, the patents rights, and intellectual rights of that person to sustain that product? So you realize that under intellectual property rights, when that protocol is also fully practicable, it's going to help a lot of innovations. And so you realize that the experts have seen that the agreement is that you see they go together. So currently, I am of the view that by the time, if you look at the approach that Ghana is taking, I'm of the view that by mid next year, the total number of companies that will be exporting and after will be more. Because currently you realize the agribusiness is taking another direction through institutions like.
So your verdict is that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and by next year things should pick up.
There is.
All right. So I'll come back to you, but let me not hold Mr. Donnie Kwame on the line for too long. Let me go to him and engage him. Mr. Donnie Kwame, if you are still there, please, I want to find out from you. Mr. Afcfta mentioned the issue of trade finance, and I want to find out from you how critical you think that is in the scheme of things as far as this whole Afcfta arrangement is concerned.
It's key. Access to finance, it's the biggest bottleneck. The good news is the Pan-African payment system has been launched. I just wish somebody can just give me an idea, somebody who's actually tested it. And that's one breakthrough, because any businessman has his own concerns about how am I going to get paid. We have the CFA. On the continent alone, we have as many as 42 currencies. But once we have the Pan-African payment system, you know, once you export, you can get your CDs, even if it's sent to a country that deals in CFA. So that's one big breakthrough, and I think that's one of the success stories of Afcfta to date. With access to finance or supply chain finance, with this breakthrough, it's also some form of investment to encourage people to fund these things. Trade finance shouldn't just be limited to people importing from other parts of the world. Africa has been seen to be a very risky area, but we need to encourage our banks through ADB and Afcfta Bank to support long-term financing of projects that are focused on Afcfta, be it infrastructure, be it in trading. That's very important.
All right. So you just mentioned the fact that Africa has been seen as a risky area. Why is that? Mr. Donokwame, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes. I just sought to find out why it is that, the perception is that Africa is a risky area. You just mentioned that, and I want to find out why that is.
The risk also has a lot to do with both economic and political, and security concerns are key. Currently, the situation in the sub-region. And the worry now is that maybe the focus will be shifted from trade, and then the focus will be looking at the security issues of political interventions on the continent, because that's the problem ECOWAS had. ECOWAS was meant for economic integration of the West African states, but with the various political issues, we realized that the resources were spent on dealing with all those political issues. So security it's always a key thing, when it comes to trade. So we want the focus to be on trade, and we also pray that will not affect the cost of credit for projects on the continent. Yeah.
All right, I'll still stay with you a while longer, because I want to find out from you. You work for an international chamber of commerce, and your activities or operations span several countries. What's the level of compliance of member states, particularly those that have ratified this Afcfta agreement?
From the stats, I think almost 90% have presented their rules of origin, and trade is expected to begin between the various states, apart from Ghana, Egypt, and South Africa, that kick-started trade from 1st of July. But
1st of January or July?
1st of January, right?
Yes.
With ICC being the leading arbitral institution in the world, we are more interested in issues to do with dispute resolution. And currently, we really want to build a capacity of experts and lawyers in the area of alternative dispute resolution, ADR, arbitration, mediation, conciliation. And on Wednesday, we'll be launching together with UNECA, the ICC Center of Entrepreneurship for Africa, because the bottom line is to create jobs for the rising unemployment situation for our young graduates, and for them to acquire the necessary skills to be able to operate within Afcfta. And we will use experts not only from Africa, from around the world, through mentoring and coaching, for them to know how to engage in international business generally.
Right. So let me come to the studios here and speak to Mr. Aful and find out what some of the activities are. I know you have done some work to assess the state of the secretariat, which we house here in Ghana, and whether you think that they have the full complement of their team, so to speak, to deliver effectively.
Before that, let me come back. Let me clarify something.
Yes, you were making a point.
Yeah, Donnie made.
Yeah. Okay.
The rules of origin is one for all the member states. And it's even about 90% ready. One of the areas that, because it has not been completely negotiated, that's why it has not been fully enforced, is the value addition content. It was capped at 61%, because it's key. That is the spirit of rules of origin, the value addition, because Africa is an import. It's not a manufacturing
it's
economy.
An import-driven economy.
So, yes, we are changing that. So there will be a lot of inputs that will be needed in our manufacturing. So it means that African countries will import inputs. And therefore, the value addition is looking to the layman, the things that you are inputting You are importing to add to your raw materials here. When you're finished, what are going to be the ex-factory price and all that? So they have to agree. That is key, because if you go and import something and come and manufacture here, what is the rules of origin there? Is it going to be given what do you call the originating status as an African product? It is key, because people ask questions like, oh, so goods that are coming from outside Africa, are they going to, what is going to be the issue? After it's not stopping any goods from being imported from outside Africa. The issue is that when those goods come in, they are not going to enjoy that preferential treatment. Then again, one important thing that we have to understand is that, Donnie was mentioning something, I think that's what I wanted to clarify. We call those one tariff concessions. The tariff concessions to the layman are, for example, that is key. The tariff concessions are, for example, the 90% that we say we are all liberalizing. What constitutes that 90% product? Give me the list of the products you are saying they are meant for liberalization. That's what we call the layman's tariff concessions.
Right.
And those ones, countries can go individually. When we say go individually, present it to the secretariat individually for adoption, or they can go as a block.
Right.
In Ghana, in West Africa, ECOWAS went as a block. You have about 12,004 plus list of 14,000. Egypt went alone, and some of the countries he mentioned.
Yeah.
One of the critical things we have to do is that, my brother, people have dreams, people have ideas. People have so many goals and plans they will have to do. But the problem, you asked them about the risk. That's what I wanted to clarify, the risk.
Yes.
The problem is that it's not that people have not done investment. It's not that we are not going to have foreign direct investment. After all, GIPC is doing a lot in the area. But the question is, when they come, what is our attitude towards these investments, to which most of them would like to go? And when you are inviting them, they don't want to come. It is our attitude that we have to really work upon. Because, for example, when they come here and it takes them a very difficult time to register the Registrar General, business registration, if it becomes difficult for business product certification or standardization, the various components that makes business difficult are the attitudes that we need to work upon so that we can attract permanent and long-lasting investments, which is very, very key. With the Secretariat, as you're asking me, the Secretariat is an organ under African Union. The load on them is too much. And I can imagine, because currently I know they have about 3 directors. They are supposed to have more directors. We have the Director of Trade, Director of Trading Services. There are more directors they are supposed to have. They are supposed to employ close to about 200 staff. They have not done that. And I don't blame them.
How many do they have now?
Currently, I don't know, but I don't think they have to 200.
Okay.
And you can imagine their responsibility is to work closely with the member states before they come to the stakeholders. But they are even doing well, because sometimes they get so many invitations from the stakeholders and they always meet them. And looking at the job at large, like I was saying, you have to get on board those countries that have not fully become members. You have to get to countries that have issues with some of the sectors. And they are doing all that. What we need to do is that we as stakeholders need to come together to support the sensitization and advocacy work that the Secretariat will be doing. And that is why in Ghana like this, we have what we call the Afcfta Coordination Office, the local Afcfta coordination, that is being headed by Dr. Farid Atta. That office was a recommendation by the African ministers that every country should set up a
trade
local,
ministers.
Yes, they should set up an Afcfta local office so that it will look like a prototype of the Secretariat, so that office will coordinate activities between private sector stakeholders, between the citizens, and then the Secretariat.
Right.
If you don't have that there, it will be very difficult for the Secretariat always to come into the stakeholdership engagement. And that is where you might think, oh, after Secretary is doing that. No, they are not supposed to. It's by the Vienna Convention, they are diplomatic status.
Right.
And so we need to build our after local offices and build the CSOs. We need to harmonize the activities of CSOs that are working on after, because the protocols are so many. CSOs can specialize in some of these protocols and then do a lot of standardization. We can't do all the same thing. And that's the problem I see with the CSOs now. We are almost doing the same thing. No, you can specialize on one side so that you can push that drive. If yours is to make sure that you want to enhance agribusiness, focus there. If yours is to look at creative industry, focus there. If yours is to look at intellectual property rights and tap lawyers, focus there. If yours is to look at tourism, Focus there, so that at the end of the day, we all consolidate the work that the local office or the secretariat is doing. This is one of the things that I think that CSOs across board. And one key, I think that by the time the protocol on women and youth is done, it's not yet there, because the traditional goal of this agreement was not to look at that. But I think it has become important that the women in trade and youth become a protocol standing on its own. And I tell you, that is very, very important, because the World Bank states Africa's population is made up of youth. So if the youth currently are not given the opportunity, the right environment to really do what they have to do to have a sustainable development, then there's going to be a problem. Because if the aged population phase out, you are now coming to develop the youth. So that protocol on women and youth, when it is enforced, will be a real game changer. This is what the Secretariat currently is doing. Second, currently what they are also doing is that the other protocols that are not done yet, they are putting committees together, like the investments that Tony talked about. They are putting committees, we call them the Africa Business Council, based REX. So this week they are having a regional economic blocks kind of meetings. What they've done is that they've picked committees representing this business council from all the regional blocks, so that they can see how they can, because the investment is not going to be like the trade. It's going to be based on protocol, based on quotes. And currently, that's why I'm sure Ghana's investment law is not ready, because Ghana wants to wait and see how the continental investment agreement will look like. Then it will be based on a push for the bill in Parliament. It is very, very, very important.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Donikwame, last week I had a discussion, and our discussion was centered on how we can ensure a robust maritime industry to aid efficient and effective continental trade. And my guests were explicit when they stated that we cannot have a smooth and effective, efficient, trading and Afcfta if we don't have our port infrastructure right and we don't have our transport infrastructure right. How can ports in Africa position themselves to take advantage of this whole Afcfta arrangement?
I think our ports are doing the right thing. We've had the right investment. We just have to increase our production capacity. We currently have the 1D, 1F initiative. Because if we are not exporting, the ports will just be there. I wouldn't say the ports are just there for goods that will be traded and Afcfta. Yes, we do import from other parts of the world, but the volumes of exports we know are nothing to write home about. So we need to really increase our production. And there are a lot of landlocked countries that also use our ports. So it's a good investment, but those who do transit through our ports. But the most important thing is the other infrastructure, because these three are always linked. Rail, road, and then the ports are always linked. So you need to invest in the other aspects to make sure there's a real network from your ports to the factory floor. There are road networks. And I see a lot of cross-border investment happening. People want to locate their factories quite close to the raw material. And even Ghanaian companies, some have already highlighted that if they weigh the cost of energy, the source of raw material, and everything, and they work out their economies of scale, and it favors they situating their factory in Burkina Faso, so be it. So what a company like that would be interested in is to make sure there is a means of transport from the factory in Burkina Faso, where he's guaranteed his raw material for production, to the port of Tema. So we need to look at these scenarios in developing investment strategies and the other strategies to do with transport, energy, and then, yeah.
All right. So Mr. Afo believes that things are slow this year. Yes, we all agree. But he thinks that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that next year things are likely to pick up. Is that something you share?
I share the same opinion, because there are deadlines for some of the negotiations, and from what I hear, the target is 31st of December 2021. The phase 2 negotiations on investment, intellectual property, competition, and others would have been dealt with, So once that's out of the way, we have the Pan-African payment system. We hope we'll be able to plug our gaps into that. Then we pray that we'll be able to deal with COVID and the borders will be open for free movement of people and goods, so that at least we can move out and start traveling within the continent and then meeting people face to face. But COVID is also brought to the fore the need to revisit the protocol on e-commerce, because it's come to stay. If we can move, at least we can transact business online. And I know the Afcfta has a protocol on e-commerce. So we hope that one will also be resolved, hopefully by the 31st of December 2025.
Very well. This is our report here on Metropolitan Television, and we're discussing the state of after trading since inception on the 1st of January 2021. My guest in the studio is Mr. Louis Yao-Afol, trade practitioner and after expert. He's with the APN network, and also joining us via Zoom is Mr. Emmanuel Doni Kwame, who is the Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana. We are going for a short break. We'll be back shortly.
GOIL makes good things happen. This time, GOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
All right, so you're welcome back. I am coming straight to you in the studios, Mr. Louis Yao-Afol, who is from the, who is an trade expert, and he's also after expert, and he's with the APN network. He told us what APN is all about and all that. But I just want to find out from you. You seem quite worried, seriously worried, about the fact that 9 months down the line, we have just two, companies, who have been able to successfully ship. You mentioned, earlier on some of the issues that you thought were, had to do with this particular issue. And I know one other issue that, the AFTA is grappling with has to do with the border closures and, some of the challenges that some of these member countries seem to be having in terms of border openings and all that. One, people think is, what do we call it, COVID. Another, people think that they must protect their turfs and territories. What do you think we should be doing in terms of this, border issues?
In fact, it's of concern, but the agreement, the preamble, explains clearly where there is a national interest or there's a national emergency, the member state has the right to take certain decisions. Especially, this is a continental issue an epidemic or a pandemic. And so it's a national security issue. And so each country has the right to take certain decisions with regard to closure of borders.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be open, it's going to also be done per the same approach that led to its closure. However, it does not change. It does not change the agreement that built upon the Abuja Treaty of Free Movement of People. And let us also clarify that, this whole thing is built on what we call the Agenda 2063. One single integrated market is one. The next one is one custom union, and then one passport. When we have one passport, which most countries have not signed, if they sign to one passport, it will make free movement of persons more easier than Afcfta. Because if one passport has to do with the fact that you have the right of entry, with one passport, you have the right to move. Now, most countries, when people are coming to other West African countries, they pay. When we have one passport, these things will stop. So to answer your questions I did, it's the agreement allows when there is a national emergency or national interest sake, the member state has the right to take certain decisions. But I'm sure that in the wisdom of President, when the time is right, experts will advise him when he should open. I don't want to go into that kind of circle. But as the question you raised with respect to the 9-month issue, my worry is that, people should not focus on the secretariat. It's like a referee among two teams. The referee is not to play the match. You, the teams, are to prepare. What we need to do is, currently, and my advice to the youth, the time of looking for a job is over. This is a time to be self-employed. This is the time to take opportunity.
Take advantage of Afcfta.
Advantage of Afcfta in the sense that how? Take your time and walk into some of these institutions. You can approach APN. Our experts are wide to help you how to identify a product, how to be on your own. If you are in the ICT, it's a big world for you. That's what we call the digital trading. It has replaced the e-commerce. It's another world on its own. The interpayment system that Donnie talked about like this, it is a product of Afcfta Bank. And that one, for example, is going to work among the central banks, where it's an interpayment settlement system. Now, apart from the interpayment settlement system, there have been a lot of Ghanaians who have seen their works, who have come up with so many apps and trading online apps. All these things are potentials for self-employment. There are so many agribusiness chains. Look, today, if you walk by the sea, the coast, check whether you see coconuts. Where are they? But currently, I'm not sure we can meet 70,000 tons demand for coconut. But coconut value chain is so much. For example, you might not be able to export, but what you can do is you can be within the exportable chain. So in other words, I will not be able to export outside directly, but I can be part of the chain by exporting to you, and then you do that. That is what Egypt is doing. For example, in Egypt, when graduates come out, and most of them don't have job, what some of the associations are doing is that they employ their services to give training to some of the business associations. So, for example, graduates will be employed by, let's say, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce or AGI to offer certain basic or capacity building for their members. That is one approach. So I've talked about just two. Look at tourism. There are so many opportunities. So my emphasis is that we should not focus so much on the, I've not heard from the secretariat. The secretariat needs to, no. Identify what you want to do.
Can you lift your mic a bit, please? Thank you. Yes.
Identify the product. Get the right institutions of experts to help you. Identify, then what we call the market intelligence. We can tell you that, when you are dealing with leather, you can go to Ethiopia. If you are dealing with saucepans, you can go to Ethiopia. Then the experts will tell you, if you are dealing with ICT, the right market could be Rwanda. Or the other market could be, if you are dealing with financial services, the right market could be Mauritius. Once you're able to identify, do you know that under Afcfta, we have what we call exporting of skills? That is what we mean by the professional services. Under Afcfta, under priority sector education, when it is done, it means that you should be able to export your skills. If you feel that you don't want to work in one country, you should be able to move to another country to establish yourself. So the emphasis is not on the secretariat. The emphasis should be upon we ourselves looking at the industries available and how we can identify product within those industries and how we seek for financial, capacity support, then you know how, for nobody, no financial institution will give you money when they are not certain of the end game of what you want to do. And that is where my concerns are. Currently, what we are doing is that finally, we are building, in terms of our APM, what we are doing, we are building certain categories of sectors. For example, lawyers. The trade, after it's made up of so many legal issues and trade laws, it's an opportunity for legal students now. It's an opportunity for legal students now. In terms of the area of the medicine, when finally health is liberalized, it's an opportunity for pharmacists, for opportunity for all health workers. This is what I am appealing to the institutions to concentrate on, how to get the people to identify their product and look for the right support to the end game. And what we want to do, we are partnering with UNECA to do, is in the pipeline. What we want to do is that when we realize that you have a vision, a dream, well, we will not just help you to the middle and leave you. No. For example, I've identified a product, an innovation. Our network want to help you to a point like, how do we help you to register? After registration, how do we get to the market? To the point where your product is in the hands of the consumer. This is what institutions should do. But what I realize that we help the people at one point and leave them there. No, you help them right from the scratch to the point where the person has ended with the consumer and is making returns from it. Then the person can come back and thank you or pay for the services that have been done. This is what Afcfta seeks to do.
All right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Doni Kwame and find out from you whether you have examined the impact of the border closures on this whole Afcfta arrangement.
I guess that's what I've been saying, that the impact. And the only way around it is through using digital tools. And currently, the ICC just launched the Global Digital Standards Initiative. We realize that people are creating all kinds of platforms all over the world, but we really don't have a digital standard. So we've initiated that. We have experts from around the world to have a digital standard for these. And then I know at the WTO, negotiations on e-commerce is also ongoing. And for us, the National Committee of ICC in Ghana, I would say we need to build capacity. As he mentioned, Louis mentioned, the focus is on the youth and women involved in trade. We need experts. Before you even engage in any international transaction, you need to draft a contract. So in October, we want to roll out a training program on what explore the issues that come up under disputes. The ones that have come to the table, I know the various complaints I've been receiving from my end. More has to do with non-payment. A Ghanaian who will import fish from Morocco, pay, and the fish will not be delivered. And then they have to go to the Moroccan embassy or Egyptian embassy or the embassy of the country and then start demanding payment through the ambassador. These are the kind of things we believe we need to resolve with the Pan-African payment system. People should be trained in how to draft proper contracts. And then the clauses to use, we will recommend using the ICC clauses in drafting these contracts. And also to build capacity of not only lawyers. When it comes to ADR, with cases to do with investment in energy, you might need an expert in that field. Not all lawyers might have the expertise. If it's an engineer who has some expertise in that, can have that training and be involved. Our court is the leading arbitral institution in the world, and we've seen so many cases over the years. The launch of the Center of Entrepreneurship, our focus it's to start with Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Morocco. Ghana was added because the Afcfta secretariat is here, and that's the advantage of having a secretariat. Everything that has to do with Afcfta, Ghana has to be included. So we hope we encourage the skilled and unskilled, and those with entrepreneurial skills already who need to scale up whatever they're doing and need some kind of mentoring in going international. They expect to be available. And then we also provide a platform for matchmaking. I started by how do we create demand? Straight away, you get to meet a party in Kenya. You get to meet a colleague in South Africa or in Morocco. And then you could plan a project together. I don't believe in people seeing themselves, I belong to this state and I'm supposed to. There should be enough cross-border investment as we see in the EU, you know. And hopefully next year we might roll out a conference on supply chain finance through our ICC Banking Commission, which involves all the banks in Ghana. How we can fund these kind of supply chains projects of that nature.
Right. Okay. So at this juncture, let me announce that the phone lines have been activated, and the number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the show. Let me take some messages now. This one says, my name is Kojo. I am into furniture. This Afcfta thing sounds interesting. I want to know what I need to do if I want to trade with countries in East Africa, for example.
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, when the rules of origin is fully implemented, and then the tariff concessions. The tariff concessions are very key. It will, when he knows the country where he wants to take his product to, really want it, in a layman's words, let me use that word, really wants it, then he's good to go. All he needs to do is that there is a task force in Ghana, made up of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and then authorized customs, to inspect the kind of goods you are preparing to export and after, so that they can give you advice. All these things will be made more public for the people to know. So yes, once you are ready with your product, it is important for, I'm preparing a document, I'm not done yet, where I have come out with knowing all the export and import comparativities of all these countries. Then you will know, because if you know that Ghana, these are my export lines and import lines, it will advise you to know when you are taking your product there. That is all, because if you're able to know that this country is ready for your product, you don't need to struggle exporting it. Then again also, you then need, if there is a need for support, then the institutions that are ready to support you do that.
Okay. So let's go into the phone lines and welcome Benedict from Abuja. He's calling us from Abuja. That's Nigeria. Good evening, Benedict.
Good evening, Chief. How are you?
Hello, Benedict.
Yeah, I'm enjoying your program.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Please, I just want to
Hello, Benedict. Can you hear me?
Few questions.
Yes. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask 3 questions about this topic.
All right. Sure. Please do.
First, I just want to know if Africa, we are really united for this free trade to take place. Number 2, we are colonized by different masters. While we were talking of a single currency of ECO, Francophone countries have already printed a new CFA. Our borders are closed. When you are traveling on ECOWAS road, it's like you are from the moon. Has our experts done a lot of research to see that this fine project, the Free African Trade, can be really sustained? Because by the time you are planning new thing, another country overthrowing another government, ECOWAS, what is really are they doing about these challenges we are facing? Because my brother there spoke about the youth. I was so happy. You know, African, our culture, we always decide with the elders. We don't involve the youth, even our family. We don't have meeting with our children. So this fine project of African free trade, some of our children are 23 years, 25 years, and I had about 2063. And if nothing is done about the youth, our education curriculum, most of our children, they are unemployable because of the subject or the course they read. What is our leaders doing to have a united Africa so that we don't have a barrier on languages? Because if I enter French, They say, Komotaba, what are you saying? They treat you differently.
Yeah.
And when you see Francophone speak to fellow Francophone, they welcome him as a brother or her as a sister. Are we not experiencing all these things? And what are we going to do about it?
Okay.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much indeed, Benedict, from Abuja, Nigeria. We're grateful to you for your time, and thank you very much for choosing Metro TV and Iron Port. Basically, he has three issues. One has to do with whether Africa is really united in terms of this whole AFCFTA arrangement. Two, he talks about a single currency, Anglophone, Francophone, how are we going to be able to come up with a single currency? And then three, he talks about youth employment, youth involvement in this whole AFCFTA arrangement.
I think that these are good questions. The first one, the unit integration has been dreamt of many years ago. And it was OAU, and it graduated, let me use the word graduate, to AU. And it's building. It's not 100%. And I think the African Union is using various flagships programs to really integrate the continent.
Right.
Like Agenda 2063 I talked about, it's not that they are waiting to 2063. It is to celebrate the 100 years of AU in 2063.
Right.
So a lot of programs have been put together to make sure that's reality. So one of them is the single market. The next one will be one custom union, one central African bank, one aerospace or aero program, one, it continues like that. Now, with regard to, we can unite through trade, we can unite through sports and so many other ways. The other issue is talking about in terms of single currency. It has been an issue. You see, we had a roundtable discussion, UNECA and Dakar recently. And single currency is so key. And for you to have a single currency, if it's within a regional, you need to have a regional central bank. So if we are going to have one African currency, we're supposed to have one African central bank. And I was glad to hear that the AU is going to pilot that with Nigeria Central Bank as a startup. They are still ongoing. Now, what is important is not just trying to have a central bank. Currency is about production. If your productive capacity is weak, if your macroeconomic indicators are not good, how are you going to have a very effective currency? Again, you need anchors in a currency. In the echo, Ghana and Nigeria were the anchors of echo.
Right. Please hold your fire and stop there. When I come back, you continue. We have Doma V, who is calling us from Techiman. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Are you Madagati brother?
Yes, please.
I saw the name and I realized you were. Katuma? All right. So please flow.
I wanted to find out about the African free trade. I was importing goods from South Africa just about a month ago. Then I wanted to take advantage of the African free trade.
So can you speak up a bit, Doma V?
Yeah.
Can you please speak up a bit?
Okay. I said I was importing goods from South Africa.
You are importing goods from South Africa?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I wanted to find out about the African free trade, and then I contacted a supplier in South Africa. And then he told me that their company is not registered with the African free trade, and for that matter, I cannot enjoy the free trade agreement in Ghana here. I don't understand why. Isn't that the exporting company should also be registered with, because I know South Africa is on the African free trade. So is it that the companies in South Africa, all of them must register to be part of the African free trade, or once the country is registered, then automatically it affects all these goods and services that will be exported into a different country?
Okay. Did you were able to?
Yeah, I think if I understand, we say that.
Thank you very much indeed for calling us from Techiman.
If I understand, he's saying that he was trying to import from South Africa.
Yes.
And the company there said that company over there is not registered under AFCFTA.
Okay.
That's what he was asking.
Okay.
Okay. What I want him to understand is that it's not about companies registering under AFCFTA. I made earlier point that if the country that you are exporting, so in this case, the company there will be exporting. If the company is exporting here and it's not part of our tariff concessions, then it could be impossible.
Right.
The tariff concession is what I'm saying, that we are giving out this product as trading off. If it's not part within our list, it means that maybe we have it and we are not willing to present it as a concession in the agreement. So that is what maybe the company is trying to explain. That look, Ghana does not accept this because it's not part of its list. And so the important thing is, I think very soon the Ministry of Trade will be coming out with some of these. When the heads of state adopt the list, they will publish it for everybody to know which products are concessions and which of them are not. I was ending now with a single currency. That the currency issue, when ECO, Ghana and Nigeria were anchoring ECO. And if Ghana and Nigeria, you know the difficulty they went through during COVID.
Sure.
So it means at the end of the day, what about the other countries? And it was recently that the Francophones decided to give up, let me use the word give up, and then join the full-blown ECO. So single currency is possible, but it's not going to come easy when we are not producing enough. So therefore, other forms of supporting the single currency is in the payment systems. So Afcfta Bank's inter-payment system that they've come called the PAPS is to facilitate an easier exchange rates, whereby, because most of the time if you are here, if you go to Nigeria and you want to change cedis into Naira, you have to exchange it in dollar first.
Yeah.
So the payment system is connected to all platforms, all central banks, such that you can transfer the money, whatever you want to do, in your currency, and the person will receive it in his currency over there.
Right.
This is what they are the pilot stages.
Okay.
And the other fantastic ones, if you take here in Ghana, the one that Maslock is running on by Afcfta, it's another fantastic payment settlement platform.
Okay.
So they are equally more coming. My advice to the secretariat that they shouldn't depend upon one single platform. They should open up for more platforms that will be effective for the people to decide how they can be operating under these kind of settlement payments.
Okay. So this one says, my name is Michelle. Key subject being discussed. When you say non-tariff barriers removed by Afcfta, what are some of these barriers? Mr. Donikwame, would you like to attempt this? A texter sent in a message, and he says, when you say non-tariff barriers removed by Afcfta, what are some of these barriers?
Anything that it's does not constitute what do you call it, duties. It's more or less a non-tariff barrier, and the key one I believe is the lack of infrastructure. And then the delays at points of entry, the various checkpoints, all the other things, phytosanitary issues that popped up to do with stand, are all treated as non-tariff barriers. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one says there has been much talk of inadequate maritime transport services to support the trade. Here currently, it would cost more to ship to another African country than to Europe via one of the popular shipping lines. How true is that? And how can we position ourselves to provide maritime shipping services to support the trade?
I think these are maritime issues.
Yes.
But the quick one on the non-tariff barriers, if it could be what we call technical barriers. So non-tariff barriers could be away from tariff, but a technical barrier can be erected in that place. One technical barrier could be harmonization of registration and certification. There are some countries, they will hide behind product registration and certification or standards to say that no, your product is not acceptable because it's of poor quality. It happened between recently Uganda and Kenya on crops, what do you call it, maize.
Yeah.
Okay. With respect to how is maritime, if I got a question, maritime position itself.
Yes. He says there has been much talk of inadequate maritime transport services to support the trade. Here currently, it would cost more to ship to another African country than to Europe via one of the popular shipping lines. How true is that? And how can we position ourselves to provide maritime shipping services to support the trade?
For me, the little I know is that there's difficulty when it comes to transportation. And that is why I pointed out that if him, the one asking the question, is willing to build up an infrastructure capacity where he owns these shipping lines, we are good to go. Because then, of course, you have the markets, because a lot of people will be happy. Because it's true, sometimes goods have to go so many other countries before coming here. And that is not good. So I think that if companies are, I was happy when I heard recently that McDonald's has bought a private jet for businesses.
Yeah.
If companies or
for
individuals, if companies or individuals can take opportunity and own these assets for transportation and other things, that is what Afcfta is seeking for. That is what we call the trade-related infrastructure as a pillar of Afcfta. So if the private sector can go into join, in Ghana we have the public-private partnership,
PPP.
that is there. Example is, for example, Ghana was doing rail to here, from here to, I think, Paga. But with this joint with Burkina Faso moving it beyond to Burkina, that is what we are saying. If government to government is possible, it can also be government to private, and it can also be private to private, which is possible. Look at inland port. Today we've not had time to talk about it, but look at inland port. If you look at Nigeria, sometimes if you watch some of their documentaries, what they've done to inland port. One good place, I don't know about what the expert will say. If you look at the Kole, if Kole was in its perfect state, the Kole right down to Odona, moving upwards, and also from Tema. If you are going to Dakar, if you are going to Gori Island, it's business. A ship goes 40 minutes interval, take people there, bring them back. We can do the same if we really look at our infrastructure capacity.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this one says, I'm so much interested in the AFCFTA discussion, and I would like to have a contact number I can call for more information. Thank you. All right. So my producers will furnish you with Luis's number and Mr. Donikwame's number, so you can contact either of them as and when you want to. Now, this one says, good evening, boss. The local producers should take advantage of AFCFTA to produce more so they can be recognized in the world, on the world market, so we can have a stable economy. This one is from Mahmoud Kamara. Thank you very much indeed, Mahmoud Kamara, for the message. And this one says, if I get Louis well, heads of states are yet to agree and publish the conceded products. Then how can we trade?
No, that is not what I was saying. What I was saying is that we call what we call tariff concessions. Tariff concessions, you see, the after operationalization is in stages. The ministers, African ministers, trade ministers council, they are the in the ordinary mindset, they are the supervisors of the secretariat activities. What happens is that secretariat experts will present issues to them. The ministers will also sit together. If they agree, they now forward it to the heads of at the summit. Then at the extraordinary summit, the heads of states will now vote or agree and say, okay, we adopt. So if the tariff concessions which various countries or regions have prepared, all will bring it together that day to the heads of state summit and say, okay, we all adopt it and it should work. That is what I'm trying to explain.
All right. So let me come to you, Mr. Donikwame, and take your final words. I want to find out from you, going forward, from the look of things, what should we be looking out for? What should we be doing as a country as far as this AFCFTA thing is concerned?
We will only see improvements in the economies of various countries or as a continent when we spend more on the right investment. Taking a cue from the last question, we still will trade with the rest of the world. Now, if you eliminate 90% of duties or tariffs, and still the cost of a similar product from another part of the world is still cheaper, as due to the lack of infrastructure. For example, if the cost of transporting my goods by sea to, let's say, Senegal is far more expensive than the person importing the same product from Asia. Definitely, if you remove the 90% tariffs, the product will still not be competitive enough, for me to benefit from AFCFTA. These are the things that we need to address, as we said.
Right.
We need investment to deal with the non-tariff barriers. Yeah.
Very well. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Emmanuel Donikwame. He is the Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana. We are grateful to you for your time, for taking time off to join us on tonight's edition of Iron Port. We are grateful to you. Thank you very much indeed, sir. And Mr. Affle, let me take your final words, just in 1 minute.
AFCFTA is a world creation opportunity. If you divide the estimated or expected revenue of about 2.4 trillion over a population market of about 1.2 billion people, every African is supposed to have about $8,000. Convert $8,000 to cedis, you are going to have about 17 to 18,000 Ghana. That is enough to start a business.
Right.
So it is an opportunity we can't do away with. And our government must be committed to what they have signed.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Louis Yao Aful is a trade practitioner and Afcfta expert. He is with the APN network. We thank you for joining us on ION Port tonight. We are grateful to you for your time. And this is how, viewers, we draw the curtain on this week's edition of ION Port. God willing, next week we'll bounce back with another wonderful edition. Remember, the repeat or the abridged version of this show is brought